Welcome, Madam Duggal. Chairman, we have Honorable Member of the Parliament, Ms. Sunita Duggal with us.
Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining. We are just Mr. Pravesh Sinha, Dr. Pravesh Sinha is there. So thanks for joining. We are waiting for other members of parliament and we'll start immediately. Just give us 4 or 5 more minutes.
So I think you should immediately, start clicking big pictures because there may be some network problem. I'm traveling. So, so just to show that, yes, Sunita Duggal, Member of Parliament, was also with you. So there may be some network problem because I'm traveling.
Yeah, no, great honor. Thank you very much. And Dr. Sinha is right there. So, Dr. Sinha, we have Madam Sunita Duggal. She's a member of Parliament from BJP from Haryana, and she's traveling. But then, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, ma'am. बहुत धन्यवाद that you could take time and that you have joined. We would request you to be there on the call, and there is a very important issue that we wanted to discuss. So we look forward for your comments and views on how we can take this forward.
You want me to speak first?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So I think in case if somebody just give me a brief, then I can proceed. Na?
Yes, ma'am.
The power sector is, ma'am, very important, and
sir, sir,
yeah.
Please join, sir. Please join.
So, Babu, should
Yes.
we start the discussion, or we are waiting for some more honorable members of parliament to join?
We are waiting for maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. It's just, it's just 1 minute to 5. So just give 2 or 3 minutes. Honorable member Sujit Kumar, he's member of parliament from Odisha. He has joined.
And also Mr. Pala is joining. Mr. Vincent Pala is joining.
Okay. Namaskar, Mr. Kumar. Sir, could you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Namaskar. Thank you so
Hi,
much for
Mr.
joining.
Kumar.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Mr. Pala has joined. Mr. Vincent Pala has joined, Chairman. Hi, Mr. Kumar. Mr. Pala and Ms. Sunita Duggal is with us right now.
Hi, Sunita.
And welcome to all.
Just 2 more minutes and we start. Just bear with us.
So Sunita ji, you have joined first, so you will have the right to start the discussion first. So after the presentation, we will request you to kindly share your comments and views. So we'll just wait for the other honorable member of parliaments to join, and then we'll start the discussion. And we of course have a small presentation, and we'll take you through the presentation and share with you some of the salient issues that we want to discuss today.
So how long this presentation is, in case if you just start the presentation and after that?
So it's, ma'am, 10 minutes. The presentation is for 10
minutes. I think it's long for me. So in that way, I can just say thanks to all the CII chairman and CII members, and also Sujit Kumarji, member parliament from Odisha, and Vincent Palaji. The topic today is, I think, power transform. Is it? Is it?
Uh,
Actually,
it's a
I didn't go through the topic of today's this webinar. But I just want to say, because I'm the member of Climate Parliament as well, if it is exactly the what I'm thinking, that the power today is not the electricity from fossil fuel. It's and particularly we can say that we are fortunate enough in India. We have deserts, so we can have solar power. We have coastal area. We can have wind power. We have this mountains. We can have hydropower. So now it depends upon you people, that you from the industrial background, that how you just switch over from your and not exactly I should say that switch over. In addition to your whatever you are doing at present, there is a, I mean, ample scope in case if you just go in this field. And there also we need R&D, that how this batteries for the storage of this power, how we can utilize them. Lithium batteries are there, but more R&D is required, that what should be the other options for storage of this I mean this power. And also I just want to say that sometimes, you know, we just keep on talking about all these things, and we think we should have this alternate battery system. Like in case if we have a vehicle, electric vehicle, or then we have and we have a battery in it. So we should have that type of stations where we can exchange. We can put our battery over there and we can exchange the battery from there. So that type of system is also required. And I think in case if you people will think, and Honorable Prime Minister, he has also in the COP26, he has already mentioned that we have to focus now towards one sun, one world, and one grid. So it is very important how this could be materialized, and we government need industrialists, and industrialists need government. It's you can say a symbiosis process. So I just want to say that you people can do a lot in this field, and government is also with you. Whatever you want in the policy change, or whatever you want in the, I mean, I think this time even in our budget session, we have budget for this renewable energy, and how this not only impact our environment, but also impact our health as well. So because Corona has already, we just faced that very tough time. So that is it, what I just want to say. I think in case if you people just want to send some information, some presentation, whatever you will just going to show to me, then I can go through it. And in case if there is any input, then I will definitely go to send you that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Whatever you have said is 100% correct for a country like India, where we have more than 300 days of sunshine. This is a great opportunity. Renewable energy is something that India can be in forefront. And all the solutions that you have mentioned, whether it is battery swapping or storage solutions, and how to make the intermittent renewable power continuous for 24/7, that has to be done, and that will be done. I think the ambitious target that the Prime Minister has set for the country will do it. The only one point that we were wanting to share with you is that what we are finding is that the buying of this power takes place by distribution companies, who in turn sell it to the consumers, to the normal people. Now, the distribution companies all over the country have been facing a lot of financial hardships. There's a lot of financial challenges that they have, and until and unless that is sorted out, many of the changes and the improvements that is expected in the power sector will have a challenge. So we'll share more details with you and get your inputs also as to how this issue can be addressed going forward. Because at the end of the day, if anyone makes an investment, they would like to be paid for whatever service they are providing, whatever energy they are providing. If that does not happen, then it will create a lot of problem. As of now, the cumulative losses of the discoms are very high. The amount of money that they have to pay to the generating companies is very high, and there is a necessity to find a solution to this. So, Babu, if we have the honorable members of parliament, will start the discussion, or
So we have one more, of course, honorable member of parliament, Mr. Sunil Kumar Mondal. He's from Bengal, AITC. So we have 4 of them join, and Mr. Jen Sinha is also likely to join. I would suggest, if you can, if you're fine, then you can either make a presentation or maybe just communicate, and maybe we can communicate a few messages which you would like to do through your presentation, and get members of parliament to interact more with you.
A quick presentation will be helpful for us.
Okay, so we'll do that. Before that, let me at the outset thank all the honorable members of parliament who have joined for this call and discussion. I have with me from CII side the co-chair of the Power Committee, Mr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra. I have also a very senior colleague from the industry, Mr. Anil Sardana, who is the CEO and Managing Director of Adani Power. I'm not sure whether Amit Kapoor has joined, but another senior colleague, Amit Kapoor, will join from CII side. And of course, Mr. Babu Khan is there, who is from the CII Secretariat and coordinates all the energy and infrastructure related issues on behalf of CII with the government. So what I would do is I will try to just quickly take you through that. What are the issues that we are discussing on the power sector? And just to put everything into perspective, Babu, is it good to start now or wait for another 2 minutes?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Good to start.
Okay. So, basically, what we are seeing in the power sector comprises of mainly 3 parts: the generation of power, and that means all the coal-based plant, all the renewable plants, all the hydro plants, nuclear plants. We have a capacity of nearly 390 gigawatt in the country, and a large component of this came up in last, I would say, about 15 to 16 years. In fact, more than 200 gigawatt capacity was added. Out of this large capacity, nearly 220 gigawatt is the coal-based plant, and 100 gigawatt is renewable, and 50 gigawatt is the hydro plants. The generation in the country is being done by public sector undertakings, which can be state public sector or government or union public sector like NTPC and NHPC, and very many other who are there. Also, there are large number of private sectors who are there in generation. The transmission is the second component, and there again we have interstate transmission, which earlier used to be only PGCIL, but now there is a bidding process, and we have large number of private companies who are into transmission. And the state transmission is of course run by the state transmission companies. And then we have the distribution, where in 28 states and 9 union territories, you have distribution companies, and most of the places, excepting for 5 cities and the state of Odisha, everywhere else it is a government run organization. And that is where we have the challenge that how do we bring about a change in the distribution sector. And why do I say this is that the distribution sector is the one which is having the maximum financial pain. It has accumulated losses of nearly 5 lakh crores in last many years. And every year it adds about 70,000 to 80,000 of losses, because the cost at which it supplies power and the revenue that it earns, there is a gap of 60. So every unit, there is a gap of 60 paisa. So every unit of power that they supply, they are making loss. Some states make more losses, some state discoms make 80, 90, 1 rupee and more also, and some make little less. But average is a 60 paisa loss. So every year we sell about 1.2 trillion units. So nearly 70,000 crores of loss gets added to the existing loss of 5 lakh crores. And if you consider that the interest cost itself of 5 lakh crores is about 40 lakhs, 40 lakh crores, 40,000 crores, then we have more than a lakh crore which is getting added to the already existing loss of 5 lakh crores. So that's the nature of financial loss which is. And when you have so much of financial loss, your ability to improve the network, your ability to provide customer service, your ability to bring technology reduces. Especially now that the country is at a threshold where a large amount of capacity addition is planned. Honorable Prime Minister in the COP26 summit in Glasgow in November has committed that our renewable capacity and our non-carbon capacity will become 500 gigawatt. Today we are 150 gigawatt, 100 is the renewable and 50 is the hydro. So 350 gigawatt of capacity addition has to happen in the non-carbon sector in next 9 years. And that means nearly 40 gigawatt has to be added. And that means huge amount of capital has to be invested, and the investor has to be comfortable, the lenders have to be comfortable for making such a large investment in the capacity addition for renewable and the non-carbon generation capacities. Similarly, equivalent amount will be required for the transmission system. So you can imagine the type of investment that is required is phenomenal. In fact, some numbers are talking of something like 30 lakh crores has to be invested in next 8 to 9 years if we have only for the generation capacity additions, and similar amount for the transmission. And if we have to do that, we need to ensure that our distribution companies become financially viable. There is, as of last month, there was something like 1 lakh crore which the state distribution companies have to pay to generating companies. And these are both government-owned generating companies as well as private companies. Now, if they do not get their monthly payment, how do they bring new technology? How will they get more loan? How will they pay their employees? How do they ensure that the supply is done consistently? And that's where the challenge is. Of course, the distribution has losses, the average losses, which is known as the aggregate technical and commercial loss is about 20%. But there are states which have more than 40% and 50% aggregate technical. In fact, there are some states where it goes right up to 70% technical losses. And that is why there is a necessity that the whole distribution sector, which actually gives money to everyone to transmission and generation business, becomes much more financially sustainable and viable. And this can happen. One of the ways in which the government has been proposing, and from all of us from the industry has been also mentioning to the government, is that when you bring competition, and we have seen in telecom, when there was no competition, there was a single monopoly, what sort of service was there, what sort of rates were there. And when the competition came in, how not only better service came, but also competition brought down the rates at which the service can be provided. We have seen this in generation, where competition, especially in the renewable business and other businesses, where competition has ensured that the prices of renewable power, solar power, wind power has come down drastically in last 10 years. And I think the distribution business is also one area where if competition comes in, there will be much better customer service, as well as the so-called losses and the technical losses and commercial losses. And also the network reliability will improve tremendously. The government has been proposing as a part of the draft electricity amendment bill 2020 certain changes in the bill. Primarily it is to ensure that the power sector improves by bringing competition in distribution, ensuring better compliances of orders, ensure better enforcement through certain changes in the regulatory regime and the regulatory system, and also to ensure that how does it promote more of renewable energy, and also how better management of renewable energy and smart metering. And Government of India has been providing various supports through various programs over a period of time. In fact, the new program, which is known as the Revamped Distribution Sector Scheme, has provided 3 lakh crore of outlay for giving it to the state discoms to improve their quality of service, including the technology interventions of IT and the operational technology. So there has been huge amount of effort that is being made by Government of India. However, the electricity bill has been pending for quite some time, in fact, more than a year. And there is a huge necessity that this should be done because time is running out. We have already committed that by 2030, this sort of investment will happen. And this sort of investment requires not only investment from Indian entrepreneurs, Indian banks and lenders, but also global investors and global banks. And the comfort will only come if the distribution companies are sustainable financially. They can pay for whatever energy they buy and contract for. And that's what we thought we will take your inputs and your guidance as to how we can take forward this agenda of the government. My colleague Rajiv Ranjan Mishra will coordinate the discussion, and over to you, Rajiv. And thank you very much.
Before Rajiv comes in, we would like to welcome Honorable Member of Parliament Daneshwari Saab. He's from BSP, has just joined, and also Shri Gaurav Gogai ji, he has also joined. So thank you very much for joining us, sir. Over to Rajiv. Maybe we can start interacting and have the
Thank you.
views.
Thanks very much, Praveen, and thanks very much, Babu. Thank you, Namaskar. Welcome to all the honorable members of parliament. I think Praveen has already set out at a big level. If we see that the things that the honorable member Sunita Duggal mentioned, the importance of transitioning our energy, cleaning up our energy system, bringing in investments, new technology. There is good news and there is bad news. The good news is that there is plenty of capital and entrepreneurial ability, both domestic and international, which is available for us to capture, so that we generate more and more energy in the clean form and transmit and distribute it to the final consumers. There is no doubt about that. I think the challenge we have faced is that, simply put, we in general struggle to get paid. No business can survive if it has 1,06,000 crore, I think, was the overdue on the 20th of January, as per the central government's Prapti portal. That is on the one side, and on the other side, we have seen that the regulatory system doesn't always work as intended. Now, we are very, very conscious that electricity is in the concurrent list. Therefore, both state governments and central governments have a role to play. That's point number one. Point number two is that it is not our role to tell the government what exactly path to follow. I think what we are trying to do here, which is why we welcome this opportunity, is that we have a problem. We have suggested one set of potential solution. One set of potential solution is simply put, trying to recreate what happened in the telcos, in the cellular system. Free it all, get the government out, let people compete, have prepaid metering. Prepaid metering, for instance, has worked extremely well, where the consumer can determine what he or she wants to consume and when. We have also said that it is not, we completely understand that it is the role of the elected governments to provide subsidy. If they want to, they can subsidize any group of customers. We totally understand that. In a country like ours, there are significant groups of consumers who face problems. But what we are saying is pay it directly, like we have done in cooking gas, for instance. The moment we route it through investors, investors entities, in this case, the generation and transmission companies, they are the first ones who do not get paid. So that is one set of solution we have recommended. Our problem is those two major areas. And what we are trying to do is meeting as many members of parliament as possible to sort of garner your support, tell you what the problems are, understand from you what alternative solutions, if not, that can work. I assume all of you will agree that if a business in 1 year is not paid, is running behind schedule by 1 lakh crore and year after year, then the whole superstructure will collapse sooner rather than later. That is really the purpose. So perhaps it's time for us to stop giving our bhashan and listen to the honorable members. So if I can first invite Shri Sujit Kumar, MP from Orissa. Sujit Kumar ji, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Misra. Thank you, Dr. Sinha, as well for the insight. My fellow colleagues from different political parties from different states. At the outset, I would like to thank the CII National Committee on Power for inviting us, members of Parliament. It's frankly, quite a learning for us to hear the numbers and to get a perspective of the industry, because there are a lot of things we just have very vague idea about, but this gives us an opportunity to delve this subject in detail. And being an electrical engineer myself, and now being a lawyer, I see how bulk of the industry is mined. So quickly make 3 or 4 points. I'll start with the last point which Mr. Misra made regarding the subsidy and the 5 lakhs odd crore cumulative loss. Not only is this a humongous number, but also the opportunity cost is massive. So one suggestion which could be implemented in my view is to have something like the voucher. In many states, in Odisha, for instance, we have started something called the voucher scheme. So not for the power sector, of course, for some other social sectors. So the end consumer directly gets vouchers from the government and can use this voucher the way they intend to, or they would like to, as per their own needs. So this will help DISCOMs to directly take the brunt of the subsidy, and then the government or chase the municipality or any body for repayment. So I think this is one option which the industry can explore and can push the government to consider. The second point which I would like to make is regarding R&D. I've been very vocal in the parliament regarding the abysmal spend on R&D by India generally. We spend only 0.7% of our GDP on R&D, which is shocking to say the least. Israel spends 4.6, China 3.6, USA 3.8, South Korea 4.2. So these are some of the comparable numbers. And this is not only about the power sector or the power industry per se, but generally it is low for kinds of R&D spend in this country. And this also includes the R&D spend by the private sector. I would strongly urge the industry veterans here that apart from urging the government to hike its R&D budget and R&D spend, let the veterans here also take a pledge or make a pledge to spend substantially on R&D in the power sector, because we are talking about the power sector reforms, and to take the lead on this. Third is regarding litigation. Now that I'm an engineer and lawyer, and because I have many of my clients from the industry, I see how a huge chunk of capital is locked in endless litigation. So again, here I think it's time that the government should relook at its litigation policy. I think we have a very dynamic minister. Honorable Minister Rijiju has been very articulate and very clear that there are a lot of instances where the government has no business appealing the lower court judgments or the tribunal judgments. And I think the industry should push more on this front. And finally, I'll come to renewable. A lot has been said about it. The target of 350 gigawatt over the next decade is quite ambitious. But I think, given the massive potential we have one of the highest insolation, 300 days of sunshine. We have potential for wind, for geothermal. I don't know why, for some reason, the renewable energy mix has not taken off, despite Honorable Prime Minister's intent and despite his push towards renewable. So I think again here the industry probably should take a lead. Definitely, as policymakers and as member parliament, we would be definitely willing to supplement and complement the efforts of the sector and the industry. I think these are my initial thoughts.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Excellent ideas, and we wish we had more time to deal with many of these in detail. But we'll certainly follow up both with our presentation. And you're absolutely right. The whole purpose of this is to create cross-party common view on the problems that the industry faces.
Mr. Sorry to interrupt
Yes,
you.
sir.
I would like to put it on record that Odisha was the first state to undertake reforms, as was mentioned by Dr. Sinha. It's still the only state probably in the country which is where the decisions are in the private hands.
Absolutely.
So I think there are some learnings from the state of Odisha as well.
Absolutely clear. Absolutely true, sir. Can I also, before I request the other honorable
In
member
fact,
to...
Rajiv,
Yeah.
I must admit that we have been doing the privatization work in Odisha along with government of Odisha. It's a PPP. The chairman is the chief secretary of the state, and it's been a fantastic experience working closely with the government, and the service to the consumers have improved, and hopefully the losses that were there in the discoms, in the erstwhile Odisha discoms, will be a thing of the past.
Chairman, also, you may like to welcome Mr. Sanjay Yadav.
Yes, I'm doing that. I've
Mr.
got the
Sunil
list.
Kumar
So
Mondal. Yes, please, Mr. Mishra. Yeah.
If I can also take the opportunity to welcome Shri Sanjay Yadav, Member of Parliament from Maharashtra, which is my home state now, as well as Dr. Sinha. So a special word for him.
Mr. Danish Ali also, sir. Mr. Danish Ali.
Yeah, we also have Shri Danish Ali, Mr. Vincent Pala, Mr. Gaurav Gogoi, and Mr. Sunil Kumar Mondal. So welcome all of you, honorable members of Parliament. May I kindly request Mr. Gaurav Gogoi now to please share his thoughts, sir. Mr. Gogoi, are you there? I don't see him on the screen.
I don't see. Yeah.
He's probably signed off. So may I ask Mr. Vincent Pala from Member of Parliament from Meg.
I'm traveling. I'm reaching another 10 minutes. So let others speak first.
All right.
Let
Okay.
me get to be connected, and I'll.
Certainly, sir. Certainly. Shri Danish Ali, Honorable Member of Parliament, is he online? I'm just going through the order in which many of them joined. Does not look like. So may I request Shri Sunil Kumar Mondal, please? I can see him on the screen as dialed in. Shri Mandal, क्या आप हमें सुन सकते हैं? Can you hear us, please, sir?
Let me work it out. Why you can invite Sanjay Yadav.
Yes, let me invite Shri Sanjay Yadav. Over to you, sir. You missed the initial remarks, but we will also send the presentation. Essentially, the point we have made is that there is a lot of investment required in the sector. The country as a whole has done a fair bit, but a lot more needs to be done. And on that, the major challenge that the industry is facing, there are challenges all the like everywhere, of course, is that the distribution companies, which is the only revenue generating part in the entire chain, ultimately the revenue can only be generated from the final consumer by the distribution company, and they make 1 lakh crore loss effectively every single year. As a result, what happens is that the private sector generators and transmission providers, those who have come in large numbers, if you look at renewables, sir, nearly entire capacity or way more than half of the capacity in the last 7 or 8 years have been added by by the private sector, both domestic as well as international. But our challenge has been that they don't get paid. And as Honorable Member Sujit Kumar also said, there is a lot of regulatory challenges in terms of litigation and speed of decision making. But that apart, that is the solution we are trying to find. We have worked closely with the central government and proposed some solutions for these. Some states have been quite active, like Orissa. Gujarat has been a very strong performer historically as well for investors, but a lot of other states, even very well developed economically, industrially well developed states, investors are struggling. If that happens, then obviously from our perspective, there's no chance for the country to transform the electricity sector by adding 350 gigawatts of non-carbon generating generation over the next 10 years. So over to you, Sri Jadhav. We have proposed some solutions. We leave it to you, sir, to give your views.
Sir, pranam. नमस्कार सर.
सर,
मैं आपसे थोड़ी जानकारी हिंदी में चाहता हूँ, थोड़ी जरा एक रेफरेंस.
जी हाँ, जरूर. मैं आपकी आज्ञा हो तो मैं ही बताता हूँ. तो ऐसा है कि हमारे देश में जो बिजली सेक्टर में सर काफी बदलाव आया है. अगर हम इसी सेंचुरी में देखें तो करीब 1 लाख, एग्जैक्ट नंबर मुझे मेरे स्मरण में नहीं है, लेकिन करीब 1 लाख मेगावाट थी 2001 में. आज हम 4 लाख मेगावाट पे पहुंचने वाले हैं. तो 2012 में शायद हमने 2 लाखवां मेगावाट कमीशन किया और हम 4 लाख पे आने वाले. तो हमारे में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हुआ है. और इसकी बेसिक कारण ये है कि जब से हमने ये सेक्टर खोल दिया है प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए, तो पूरी दुनिया से देयर हैज बीन बहुत सारे जो निवेशक हैं वो आए हैं. और जहां तक आप देखे हैं, जब हमारी देश में 1992 में पहली बार इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म्स हुआ, ओपनिंग अप हुआ, उस समय तो 100% स्टेट हैंड्स में थी पूरी सेक्टर. और अब अगर हम देखते हैं तो जनरेशन में कम से कम और ट्रांसमिशन में आधे से ज्यादा 60-70% सारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर से आ रही है. तो ये बहुत अच्छी डेवलपमेंट हुई है. दूसरी अच्छी बात ये है कि पूरे विश्व में कल यूक्रेन और रशिया के चलते थोड़ी इंटरनेशनल मार्केट्स डगमगाई हुई है. मगर अगर हम लॉन्गर ट्रेंड देखें तो पूरे विश्व में बहुत कैपिटल है जो कि भारत में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहती है. हमने देखा है कि कनेडियन पेंशन फंड हो, अबू धाबी और इन्वेस्टमेंट मलेशिया की हो, सिंगापुर की हो, कतर की हो, मिडिल ईस्ट एशिया, बहुत सारे लोग हमारे देश में पैसा डालने को तैयार हैं. तो ये सब अच्छी न्यूज़ है. और इसके चलते जो हमारी नेशनल गोल है कि हम कोयला और उससे हटके अब क्लीन एनर्जी, हमारी एटमॉस्फेयर भी साफ हो और सभी को 24 घंटे 365 दिन हर एक कस्टमर को बिजली मिले और क्लीन मिले और अफोर्डेबल रेट पे मिले. तो इसके लिए हम केंद्रीय सरकार की जो पावर और न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी मंत्रालय है उसके साथ काम करते रहे हैं. तो हमने 2-3 चीज रेकमेंड की है और उसमें कई सरकार ने भी डाली है ड्राफ्ट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल में, जो कि सर अब 2 साल से अटकी हुई है, पार्लियामेंट में प्रेजेंट नहीं हुई है और पास नहीं हुई है. तो उसमें 2-3 तरह की हमने कही थी कि पहले तो कि आप चॉइस लाइए. जैसे हमने मोबाइल टेलीफोनी में कि पहले केवल सरकारी एक कंपनी थी, तो हमने प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए ओपन कर दिया. तो उसके 10 साल में हमने पूरे दुनिया के हम सबसे नंबर 1 कंट्री बन गए मोबाइल टेलीफोन वाले. और हमारे यहाँ सबसे कम टैरिफ भी है. तो उसका बेनिफिट सारी जनता को मिला है. उसमें एक और भी बड़ी अच्छी खूबी है कि वो 90% से ज्यादा जो हमारे कंज्यूमर्स हैं वो प्रीपेड में है. तो वो पहले ही पे कर देते हैं. जिसको 200 रुपए खर्चे करने हैं वो उस हिसाब से बात करेंगे या इंटरनेट पे जाएंगे. जिनको 500 करने हैं वो इस हिसाब से करेंगे. तो हमने कहा कि अगर ऐसा किया जाए, प्रीपेड करो. और दूसरी हमारी एग्जाम्पल है कुकिंग गैस में, जहां पर कि मेरे पिताजी भी जो अब रिटायर्ड हैं, अगर एक सिलेंडर ऑर्डर करते हैं तो अगले दिन उनकी अकाउंट में 800 रुपए या जो भी सरकार देती है वो पहुंच जाती है. तो हमने कहा कि हम जानते हैं कि हमारे देश में कई पुअर लोग हैं, बहुत गरीब लोग हैं, उनको सहायता की जरूरत है, लेकिन उनको सहायता आप डायरेक्ट उनकी अकाउंट में दे दीजिए, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर दीजिए. और तीसरा हमने कहा कि कुछ रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम में, जो कि सुजीत कुमार साहब ने भी कहा है, तो ये हमने रेकमेंड किया है. लेकिन हमारी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि सर हम हर एक साल 1 लाख करोड़ की घाटा तो नहीं है, मतलब पैसे ही नहीं मिलते हैं, तो हमारी किताबों में प्रॉफिट्स है लेकिन कैश है नहीं। तो ये एक हो रहा है। और दूसरा, ये इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल भी नहीं पास हुआ है, उससे पहले एक टैरिफ पॉलिसी आई थी, वो भी नहीं हुई है। और ये जो फील्ड है, इसमें राज्य सरकार और केंद्र सरकार दोनों का ये कंकरेंट लिस्ट में है। तो दिल्ली में बैठ के सरकार जो भी कहे उस वो होने वाला नहीं है, राज्य सरकार पे भी बहुत कुछ निर्भर करता है। तो हम ये एक्सरसाइज हमारे ये है कि हम अपने प्रॉब्लम्स आप सबों को बताएं, सभी पार्टी के ऑनरेबल मेंबर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट को, और कहें कि हमारी तरफ से ये सोल्यूशन हो सकता है, लेकिन कुछ और भी हो तो आप कृपया उसे हमें बताएं। और हमारी फंडामेंटल रिक्वेस्ट है कि ये जो मूवमेंट है कि टुवर्ड्स रिफॉर्म, सो दैट ये सेक्टर की जो प्रॉब्लम्स है दूर हो पाए और नए नए इन्वेस्टमेंट आते रहें, उसमें हमारी आपकी सपोर्ट चाहिए सर। तो बस यही बात है।
धन्यवाद सर। मैं आपसे एक रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा सर, जो भी अभी महाराष्ट्र स्टेट है जो मेरा है, मैं जहां से तो हमारे स्टेट में अभी किसानों के लिए 4 घंटे भी हम लाइट नहीं दे पाते
जी।
ये नदियां बावड़ियां पूरी भर चुकी है, कुएं भर चुके हैं, किसानों के पास पानी अवेलेबल है लेकिन लाइट नहीं। कभी लाइट होती है तो पानी नहीं होता।
जी हाँ।
और इसमें मेरी एक ऐसा सजेशन है कि बहुत पैमाने पे, बड़े पैमाने पे बिजली की चोरी भी होती है सर।
जी।
उसको रोकने में जो भी काम करने वाले एजेंसीज है वो कहीं तो भी कम। सबसे बड़ी बात यह है हमारे देश में, हमारा अगर मोबाइल डिस्चार्ज होता है तो हम तुरंत उसको रिचार्ज मारने के लिए कहीं से भी पैसे लेंगे, हम रिचार्ज मारते हैं। लेकिन जब बिजली हमारी कटती है तो हम उसको रिचार्ज करने के लिए पैसे भरने की हमारी मानसिकता नहीं होती। तो ये मानसिकता बदलना बहुत जरूरी है, इसमें अवेयरनेस लाने जरूरी है। और जैसा मोबाइल में या टेलीफोन बिल में जैसा अभी प्रीपेड पोस्टपेड उस तरीके के जो चार्जेस होते हैं, उस तरीके से ये लाइन में भी लाना चाहिए। बिलिंग सिस्टम बंद होनी चाहिए। भाई तुमने 500 का रिचार्ज मारा है, जब रिचार्ज तुम्हारा खत्म हो गया लाइट ऑटोमेटिक बंद हो जाएगी। अगर आप रिचार्ज करते हो डबल पैसे भर के तो आपकी लाइन चालू होनी चाहिए। तो लोगों में अवेयरनेस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है सर। और स्टेट की बात कहे जाए तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट में समन्वय होना बहुत जरूरी है। महाराष्ट्र की हालात ऐसी है अभी कि इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हो, इंडस्ट्री को अच्छे तरीके पैमाने पे लाइट मिलती है लेकिन किसानों को लाइट नहीं मिलती, घरेलू लाइट भी नहीं मिलती। उसकी वजह है कि मेरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ही, मेरे संसदीय क्षेत्र में भी बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे वहां पे लाइन में घाटे में है। उसकी वजह है कि चोरी पैमाने पे, बड़े पैमाने पे होती है, लेकिन जिस तरीके से वसूली होना चाहिए डिपार्टमेंट से वो वसूली नहीं होती। फिर यहाँ क्या हो जाता है कि जो पैसे भरता है वो सफर हो जा रहा है। जो मिडिल कास्ट के लोग हैं, जो अपनी इज्जत को डरते हैं, इज्जत के लिए जीते हैं, वो लोगों को भी ज्यादा बोझ पड़ रहा है। जो बड़े हैं वो नहीं भरते, जो छोटे हैं वो भी नहीं भरते, इसमें बीच वाला मर जा रहा है। तो इसके लिए जो भी प्रीपेड कार्ड, पोस्ट कार्ड अगर आप इशू करते हो तो आसानी से लोग पैसे भरेंगे। मैं उसको पता चलेगा कि मैं 500 रुपये की बिजली महीने को मुझे लगती है, अगर कम होती है, ज्यादा होती है तो उसको पैसे एक साथ देना पड़ेंगे। रिचार्ज मारेगा तो लाइट मिलेगी, नहीं मारेगा तो अंधेरे में रहेगा। कुछ तो भी डिसिप्लिन होना चाहिए जरूर। थोड़ी देर के लिए बुरा लगेगा, लेकिन कुछ भी आसान हासिल करना है तो पहले तकलीफ तो उठानी पड़ेगी। अगर ये अच्छा आपने को करना है तो उसके लिए कुछ तो भी अच्छा एक पॉलिसी मैटर आगे लाना है। मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि महाराष्ट्र के हालात बहुत गंभीर है। यहाँ पे लाइट की बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है। आज किसानों को मैं बता रहा हूँ 2 घंटे की बिजली भी नहीं मिलती। हमको कभी कभी रात में 12 बजे 1 बजे जबकि ठंड काला होता है, वो ठंड में रात में किसान कैसा खेत में जाएगा और बीज को पानी देगा, ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा। तो मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि इसके अंदर कुछ तो भी देश से एक पॉलिसी तय हो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से, और वो सब स्टेट को लागू करनी चाहिए। उस तरीके से इम्प्लीमेशन होगा तो हकीकत में किसान को भी आसानी होगी। 8 घंटे किसानों की मांग है, 8 घंटे हमको बिजली दीजिए दिन में, 24 घंटा नहीं चाहिए, सिर्फ 8 घंटे, लेकिन 3 फेज, सिंगल फेज नहीं। अगर 3 फेज बिजली अगर किसानों को 8 घंटे की मिलती है तो किसान उसमें समाधानी है और वो अच्छी तरीके से फसल उसके खेत में उगा सकता। तो मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा ये माध्यम से, आप जो भी डिसीजन ले रहे हो, भाई भाई के लोगों के, बाहर से लोगों की यहाँ पे जो इन्वेस्ट करने की जो उम्मीद है और बढ़ोतरी मिले और ज्यादा से ज्यादा एनर्जी हमारे पास तैयार हो, और उसके अंदर जो कि किसान हमारा जो आज परेशानी में है वो परेशानी से दूर हो जाए और उसको अच्छे दिन आने में आसानी हो। मैं यही आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
जी, आपने जो कहा
राजीव,
यस प्लीज।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद संजय जी, आपने बहुत
सर।
अहम मुद्दा उठाया। और ये कि चाहे गांव में रहें या शहर में रहें, खेती करें या फैक्ट्री चलाएं, बिजली के बिना तो आज कोई भी नहीं रह
कोई भी
सकता
नहीं
है।
चाहता।
और इसीलिए इसमें एक बदलाव लाने के लिए जिस तरह से अभी ये सिस्टम जो चल रहा है बिजली का, इसमें थोड़ा कंपटीशन आना चाहिए। ये जो चोरी
आना
होता
चाहिए।
है, जो आपने बताया,
वो रोकनी चाहिए।
ये एम्प्लॉयज ही उनके हैं या जो उनके कार्यकर्ता हैं, वही लोग इसको करते हैं। तो इसीलिए ये बहुत जरूरी है कि एक कंपटीशन जब आएगा तब सबको, फिटेस्ट विल सर्वाइव, एंड नेसेसिटी इज द मदर ऑफ इन्वेंशन। सो इसमें बहुत जरूरी है कि जो जिस तरह से अभी चल रहा है, ये तो मोनोपोली है, एक ही कंपनी है, एक ही ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। और जैसे आपने टेलीफोन में भी देखा होगा कि जब 1970 और 80 में एक लैंडलाइन मिलना मुश्किल होता था, और मिलता था तब भी बहुत महंगा होता था, उसमें हम फोन नहीं कर पाते थे, एसटीडी नहीं कर पाते थे इंटरनेशनल। तो ये कंपटीशन ही के लिए हम लोग ने जो सरकार से हम लोग ने गुजारिश की है, दरखास्त किया है कि ये एक मॉडिफिकेशन आना चाहिए। और कंपटीशन आएगा तो उसमें जो अच्छा रहेगा, जो अच्छा सर्विस देगा, जो 12 घंटा देगा, जो 3 घंटा देगा, जो 24 घंटा देगा, उसी के पास लोग जाएंगे, और सस्ता देगा उसी के पास जाएंगे। तो ये कंपटीशन के लिए ये जो बिल में चेंज लाने का हमने रिक्वेस्ट किया है। हमारे साथ आज श्री अनिल सरदाना जी भी हैं क्या अनिल सरदाना जी?
जी हाँ, है।
तो मैं उनसे भी रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, उनको बहुत एक्सपीरियंस है डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चलाने का। वो दिल्ली में जब प्राइवेटाइज हुआ था डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन 2002 में उन्होंने चलाया था। सो आई विल रिक्वेस्ट अनिल इफ यू कैन शेयर सम थॉट्स ऑन द बिल एंड व्हाट नीड्स टू बी डन।
Yeah, so thank you Praveen and नमस्कार हमारे सारे पार्लियामेंटेरियंस जो इस कॉल पर जुड़े हैं। मेरी तरफ से भी सबको बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन। प्रवीण, जैसे आपने बोला और राजीव रंजन जी ने बोला और जैसे अभी संजय जी बता रहे थे, ये बहुत मसरूफ प्रॉब्लम है इस कंट्री की कि जो थेफ्ट होती है आज की डेट में, जो इन्होंने बताया, चाहे वो मिले भगत से हो या वो वैसे सिस्टम के कारण हो, उसका एक पात्र बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट जो हमको बताना जरूरी है वो ये है कि जो ऑनेस्ट कंज्यूमर है वो उस थेफ्ट के लिए पे करता है। कि मान लीजिए आज की डेट में अगर 1 यूनिट हम बिजली खरीदें और वही 1 यूनिट हम बेचें और कलेक्ट करें, तो वो 1 यूनिट का किसी को कुछ और पे नहीं करना पड़ेगा। लेकिन होता क्या है कि अगर 25% किसी जगह पे चोरी है तो 1 यूनिट को डिलीवर करने के लिए हमको 1.25 यूनिट खरीदने पड़ते हैं, और जो जेन्युइन कस्टमर है, ऑनेस्ट कस्टमर है, वो 1.25 यूनिट के लिए पे करता है। तो ये एक जो सिस्टम में डिसऑनेस्ट कंज्यूमर इज एंजॉयिंग, ऑनेस्ट कंज्यूमर इज पेइंग मोर देन व्हाट इट नेसेसरली हैज टू पे। आई थिंक ये एक बहुत बड़ा इशू है जो एटलीस्ट पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम के लिए ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है कि आज की डेट में जिन जिन शहरों में या जिन जिन जगह पर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनीज में लॉसेस ज्यादा हैं, वहां पर जेन्युइन कस्टमर 30 से 40% उन लोगों के कारण पे कर रहे हैं जो लोग चोरी करके उस बिजली के पे नहीं करते। और दूसरा पॉइंट, जैसे प्रवीण जी ने बताया, राजीव जी ने बताया, ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज है कि आज की डेट में मोनोपोली होने के कारण बहुत सारे डिस्कॉम्स, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनी ये बोल देते हैं कि ये एग्रीकल्चर लोड में जा रहा है या ये गरीब तबके के लोगों को जा रहा है। जबकि हम लोगों का अपना एक्सपीरियंस है डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चलाने का, जब हमने दिल्ली में भी देखा कि झुग्गी झोपड़ी वाले बेचारे कंज्यूम नहीं करते, उनके तो हार्डली एक घर में एक लाइट, एक छोटा फ्रिज और एक बहुत छोटा सा कोई एक लोड रहेगा। जो कंज्यूम करते हैं या चोरी करते हैं, जो लोग पे नहीं करते सिस्टम में, वो एक्चुअली अलग तरह के लोग होते हैं जिनकी कंजम्पशन ज्यादा होती है, जो अपने छोटे कारोबार चला रहे हैं, फैक्ट्री चला रहे हैं, या जो एग्रीकल्चर के नाम पर एक्चुअली अपनी मिल चला रहे हैं या आटे की मिल चला रहे हैं, इस टाइप की चीज। तो ये एक पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम के लिए बहुत जरूरी है जानना कि जब तक कॉम्पिटिटिव सिस्टम आएगा नहीं डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में, और लोग जैसे टेलीकॉम में हुआ वैसे आके कॉम्पीट नहीं करेंगे, तब तक ये जो आज की डेट में प्रथा बनी हुई है कि भाई किसी तरह से छुपा जाके उसको बोलते रहो कि एग्रीकल्चर वाले लोग कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं या झुग्गी झोपड़ी वाले लोग कांटा लगा रहे हैं, ये गलत है। हम लोगों ने ग्राउंड पर अपने आप सिस्टम में रिफॉर्म में देखा है कि ये एक कवर अप है। अल्टीमेटली ये एक कनाइवेंस का सिस्टम बन गया है, जिसके कारण जेन्युइन कस्टमर्स को आज की डेट में ज्यादा देना पड़ रहा है और उसकी भरपाई भी नहीं हो रही। सो मैं भी अपने कलीग्स की तरह ज्वाइन करना चाहूंगा यह बोलते हुए कि it is important that this act, the act which is lying in the parliament, is looked at favorably. I think our honorable members of parliament must try and bring about competition so that their hands are strengthened and their constituency, their constituents, their beneficiaries are rewarded by not only 24/7 electricity, but cost competitive electricity. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Anil. I'm just conscious of the time. May I request Mr. Vincent Pala, who's been on a call for a while. Sir, would you like to give your comments, and welcome and thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, sir. I'm very sorry. I'm traveling actually on the way to my constituency. All the honorable members of parliament, as well as all the officials from CII and others. So I think what I mean to say is that you know the problem. You have been in the business for quite long, and you know the solutions of the problem also. If I could understand it correctly, what you need is to bridge the gap between the government and the policy makers and the business people. So since the bill is there for the last 1 year, what you want us to do is practically is that how we can involve in modifying the bill, improvement the bill, in such a way it will be a balance between the consumers, the producers, as well as the as the government. So I suggest like I've said, you know the problems and you know the solutions. If you can give us a draft what you want to amend in the act. I think all the act as of now is with you. And if you can give us a draft, then I can take a lead in parliament in convening other friend of mine also to approach the government, to approach the minister, if required, even to talk to the prime minister also, because this involves lots of stakeholders, right from the farmers, industrialists, and many others. You know, with what you've given a presentation of 490 gigawatts, which we have now. And if you look, most of these are still used with coal thermal. And in my constituency, I've seen we have got a little bit, almost 130 megawatts in terms of generation. But in some of the areas, the loss is up to 70%. And the minimum loss is around, 20%. So I fully agree with you. Like what we have done in BSNL, what we have done in telecom, we can do the same thing also in power. So I fully agree with you, and we can move forward. We have a Gujarat model, we have a Orissa model, we have so many models which already been there in India. So I don't think that we should have a problem. Side by side, we'll work together. I promise you, from 14th onwards, we'll be in Delhi. And most of you are friends, and I've been associated with you for the last 10, 15 years. So we can do that, bridging the gap, so that the people will not suffer, as well as the industries should not suffer. Every year, I think what you said, 70, 80,000 losses. If these accumulations, very soon, I think it should reach 10 lakh crores problems. So ultimately, it'll be, I think once it crosses more than 7-8 lakh crores, then the entire system will collapse. So I suggest that you give us the, like you've given us a presentation, you give us the suggestions clause by clause, and then we can move it forward. And this is what my humble suggestions are. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving your point. I'm very sorry. I just stopped on the way. and I cannot, attend it properly. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you very much indeed, sir. And we'll follow up by giving our suggestions. Thanks for taking the time even within whilst you are traveling to your constituency.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is there any particular reason why the bill has not been introduced in the parliament?
Sir, as far as we understand, there has been a lack of political consensus. This is as you know, a concurrent list matter. So it does not only involve the central government, all the other parties, which is why this cross party group of MPs is so much more important, sir. We need all of you to support so that the central government also can. That's what we understand, sir. So thanks to Mr. Pala, I think हमारे
Mondal is there. Sunil Mondal, I think.
श्री सुनील मंडल साहब भी हैं. तो सर आपका भी स्वागत है और आप क्या हमें कुछ सुझाव देना चाहेंगे इस पर, तो प्लीज स्क्रीन पे आके बोलिए.
He is logged in. I can see him.
श्री सुनील मंडल, सर आप हमें सुन पा रहे हैं क्या?
No, I don't think he's able to listen to us. Okay.
And what about Mr. Gogoi, Mr. Gaurav
Mr. Gogoi logged in and then logged
and then logged out. And Danish Ali Saab, wo hain ya?
I think he's also logged off. He logged in for some time. They are traveling, and Mr. Gogoi trying, but then he has a connectivity problem. So twice he logged in and then logged off.
I see. I think
we had Rajiv. We had heard Mrs. Sunita Duggal before the program. If she is still there, if she would like to make any comment now.
No, I don't think Sunita.
She has left.
Left. Yeah, she was on the way to some meeting.
I think we got. I think we need to thank all the members who have joined, the honorable members. I think we should take the offer. I think the honorable member from Orissa, Mr. Sujit Kumar, gave some excellent alternatives. In a sense, it's a prepaid sort of structure, direct benefit transfer in another form. I think most of the members have shown an openness for us to brief them, one saying, give us clause by clause suggestions so they can push. So let's take this opportunity. Praveer, we can request our good friend, Mr. Our lawyer friend, Amit, who could not join today, to sort of give it up as a potential draft markup and try and create the momentum towards greater support, cross-party support in the parliament for this bill, so we can sort of move it forward.
Sure, Rajiv. I think we really thank honorable members for being open to receiving some more suggestions, and we would be more than happy to send it to them also and interact with them when the parliament session reconvenes. From 14th of March, we should meet them in Delhi and seek their help in taking this forward. This is a very important issue because if we are talking of industrial development in the country, energy is required, and so also for our agriculture prosperity. So I think going forward, we need to work on this and bring out alternate models so that our customers, whether they are in city or in rural areas, along with the electricity, they should get 2 vouchers for watching a movie or 2 vouchers for going to a restaurant. So competition always brings the best. And I'm sure along with electricity, they will get many other services provided. There are good players and global players who come and play and work in the country.
So Babu, I think if we can both take the presentation as well as suggestions and try and meet as many of these honorable members from the 14th, when most will be in Delhi, either in groups or even singly, depending on their availability. As we try and garner more support for this. And thanks once again to Sri Sujit Kumar, who is still on the line. And let's not forget
Mr. Vincent Pala is there.
Is still
and
there.
and I do see Mr.
Kumar Mondal is
Mr.
signed in,
Sanjay
but he's-
Jadhav is also there.
Yeah, so we will try and follow up. We will meet up with as many as they have suggested, and let's also thank our friend and colleague Anil Sardana for sparing his time.
Sir,
Anil will.
sir,
Yes,
if I
yes, Mr.
may-
Pala. Please go ahead, sir.
If I may interrupt you, I think if you can give us you can email to us in advance so that we can do a research. So by
Sure.
the time the parliament comes, so we will be ready with it. So kindly, if it's possible, I think it won't be a problem for you. If you can give us as soon as possible, you can mail to us. I think Babu has emailed all of us. So,
Will do, sir.
So that
We'll do
I
that.
can do.
Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you. That's an excellent idea.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you, Mr. Pala, after a long time.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm quite busy nowadays. Yeah.
See you,
Okay,
sir, when
okay.
you are in Delhi.
I
Yeah,
need to
sure,
log out.
Babu.
So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Sujit Kumar, yes, sir. Boliye, did you want to make a point, sir?
I need to log out.
Yes.
But it was,
Yes.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Babu. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Ravi.
Babu. Thank you,
you, sir.
Rajiv.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks,
you.
Jyoti.
Thanks, Jyoti. Thanks. Bye-bye. Surinder, thanks.
Thank you, sir.